Hey guys, so we are here live from Venice. We are at 1010 Abbot Kinney. So this is where they just held a community outreach event for Mike Bonin's office to support, kind of give the community a chance to talk. So we have all these Cheetahs warriors over here from everywhere. But to start, I'm gonna have Emma and Julie speak. Emma, Julie, where do you guys live?
We live in Venice.
How far from here?
About 15 minutes.
15 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been here?
5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
So Julie, what do you think about this?
I think it's a step in the right direction. If you have walked around Venice, you'll see that there are a lot of tent communities, a lot of homeless people walking around, and they really deserve a place and shelter to live. And while this obviously is just a step in the direction, it's a kind of community I think that really supports stepping in the right direction. And I'm proud to see this happen.
And one of the things, so I want to make sure everybody watching knows, both of you have been to Skid Row multiple times with us. And it is something that, people are concerned about, that this will turn into a Skid Row. What do you say to that, Julie?
See that stabilizing people in housing is the best way to put people in a position to really succeed, and that we're not putting people in the best position by having them live in tents on the streets here. So I think you really have to look at what has been successful in other communities in moving towards stabilizing people to be successful. So I think it's much safer to have facilities that meet the needs of people than to have tents out on the street.
And there are so many mini Skid Rows popping up everywhere, all over Venice right now. I mean, there are several streets with tents just lining them all the time. So of course, why not?
As 24 years old, as a 24-year-old woman living here in Venice and seeing what goes on, how do you feel about the women on our streets and what they're exposed to?
I mean, it's definitely even. I wouldn't walk the streets of Venice alone right now. Just with, I have friends who have been mugged on the streets of Venice, and I definitely feel like I can't even imagine being a woman living in that position without shelter and, having to be exposed to that level of violence and vulnerability every single night.
So I'm gonna go over to Jeremy. Jeremy, you had some interesting conversations in there.
I'm feeling a little fired up. I was standing in line listening to the most inhumane conversations, like talking about, I don't water my flowers anymore because there's people sleeping in the car outside my gate, and they care more about the flowers than the actual people who are living in their car outside the gate, and they don't want to give any solution to that. They just want to say, not in my front yard even. So it's confusing and frustrating to hear that kind of mentality, but at the same time, we were able to connect with some people on an empathetic level, just kind of hit that chord of humanity and connect with them and just let them know, like, we're here because we care, we know you care, let's work together on this, because just saying no is not working. You're talking about worrying about Skid Row, you're tapping everywhere, like you said, it's already happening, so a solution could just make it better.
And another thing, actually the first time that I met Jeremy was because we were at a completely different event where we were myself and Carlos here, we organized the event to promote affordable housing, and Jeremy came in and support the whole operation. So what do you have to say about what's happening with affordable housing in Venice?
It's insane. There is no such thing anymore. The rent control is dwindling, and there's no new rent control being established, as we know. Median income hasn't raised in decades. People are expected to keep up with the rent prices here. It's insane. One of my best friends just got a notice that she and her family are being evicted from a home. Family of 5 with a dog, and they're paying $1,500 in rent control. There's no way, tell me one of you, that they're going to find a 5-bedroom house anywhere in Los Angeles for anywhere close to $1,500. That is impossible. 2-bedroom apartments are more than that now. So it doesn't exist anymore. There is no such thing as affordable housing, and there needs to be a solution towards making sure people don't fall under the safety net. I mean, we have to care. We have to care enough to not let our brothers and sisters sleep on the sidewalk. So.
Thank you, Jeremy. Nick, I saw you getting in the mix up there. What happened?
So, I spoke to one reporter actually, and he thanked me for having facts because a lot of people in there did not have those. So I learned something recent that's kind of sad, that in New York City, they have about 100,000 homeless people. We have about 64,000. They're able to house about 90% of those people, and we, being the supposedly the fifth largest economy in the world, can't even manage to take care of our own people. So it's kind of sad that I saw so much hatred, so much distaste for their neighbors, the people that are already there, the people that they're trying to get rid of to where. There's nowhere to go. So it was sad. I interjected at one point in front of another interview because I saw so much BS like happening because they were allowing people basically fight on camera. And so I literally said to the guy that this lady has no idea what she's talking about because you didn't. She was talking about we have, like, I think she said like 10 shelters in Venice. And I was like, I want to see one of them because I haven't yet. So I actually counted how many homeless people I saw on my way here from the 10 freeway, and I counted about 10 of them. So just in that little 2 miles, there's 10 people that don't have a home. So imagine the actual scope of the problem on the beaches where people actually would rather be than right close to the 10 freeway. So.
And one of the things Rick is inside still that brought up is, they're talking about how they're being pushed on with so many solutions, but Venice doesn't have a shelter. And they even admitted
supposedly they have 10.
They have 1,200 people on the streets. And, there is a lot of pushback about people coming to visit and then people who've been here for a while. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure whoever's listening understands that this is going to be a shelter for 100 people. It is going to be fully funded so that the people there, if needed, they get mental health care and substance abuse recovery. And whether it be inside or outside, like residents Emma and Julie just shared with us, you see people all the time, and you saw so many people when you were here. I'm going to defer to Stephen. You know I was coming to you, Stephen.
Eventually, yeah. I grew up here in LA, so it's a lot different because I've been a resident of LA my whole life. And so we've been coming to Venice Beach probably, I don't know how many times over the summers. But working in Marina Del Rey for the past 6 years, I pass coming off the freeway every day. And that can't, at first I started to notice, I said, is there homeless people on this, there's tents over there. And so as we were having the conversations inside, the biggest question is somebody has to be a leader here. And somewhere, someone has to say, we are not going to accept this anymore. And in your communities, I mean, it's not nice to for people using the bathroom on the street, but it's not nice that those people have to use the bathroom on the street. So you got to start thinking about it differently and realizing that we're stepping away from our humanity as we allow it to happen. You got to stop doing that. And so here in Venice, there's a lot of examples, but they hide very well. And they don't have no more hiding places. They're right there in front of you if you just open your eyes and look at them.
Thanks, Stephen. John?
Well, I am continually struck by how people don't realize who the homeless are. And by that I mean the economic homeless. In conversations we had inside, people never put it together. Health care, rent increases, job loss. I think there's still this notion that it is from another generation, which still exists. But that really struck me, how people still seem to not understand the reasons why the majority of people are homeless. And that's an ongoing education, just like we need to be educated and sensitive to their situation, it's their neighborhood. But at the same time, it's bigger than all of us. And we just need to keep educating each other, and from us to them, really, how, but for healthcare, but for a job, go we. And that was my main, it's usually my takeaway, and that was my takeaway from this event as well.
So they were asking for more women to speak on this. So Fiorella, what do you have to take? I know we spoke a little bit about how much. I know we touched it with Emma, but like I spoke with you a little while ago about how much sex trafficking goes on in LA. Mm-hmm. As a woman, how you're more informed than others. So how do you? What do you have to say about this?
I think people feel like they're making a difference with the Me Too movement, and it is to a degree, but we often forget our most vulnerable people are the homeless, and that includes women who are homeless, and they aren't even seen as human. When you walk past a person on the street, people often don't even look at them, and I think we forget that we need to humanize these people, and these women are the most in danger of sexually being assaulted, being beaten, and when they try to not be a sex trafficker, what happens is they take their belongings, they burn them if they don't do as they say, and it could be a gang, it could be another person, they say it's not their turf, they beat them, and then these women end up dead. It really hurts me to see elderly women who shouldn't have to worry about anything be out on the streets and have absolutely no one there to care for them, and just forgotten. And we've lost our humanity. The fact that there are people in there protesting a shelter that could actually help others because it might look bad, or because they can't go outside and feel like it's as pretty as it might have been, but they have no problem going shopping while there's people on the sidewalks, specifically women. Those are like, women and children are the heart and soul of humanity, and we've lost sight of that, and it's wrong. And as a woman, we're all one paycheck away from ending up and being homeless, and I think that is what causes that fear in people that makes them hate homeless people, because they know that deep down maybe they could end up like that too, and they just want to ignore the problem. But it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away, and we're going to be here to remind them of that.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's something that I've always recognized, where people actually are scared of helping because they are afraid that they're going to end up there themselves. Anyone else have anything they want to add?
I can share something.
Rigo?
Just last week I did a volunteer with the not-for-profit legal services, and we had a veteran legal aid clinic, and I spent 2 hours with one woman who about 5 years ago was divorced and kicked out of her house by her husband, and she hasn't been able to afford to get a place. So she lives in an RV and is on the west side of LA, Santa Monica, Venice, Westwood area, moving around. And I was just struck by just the sheer trauma that she was showing. She's homeless, she's alone, she doesn't have any real resources. She says, and she's a veteran. So she said there's places where they say, okay, you can go here to take a shower, but then those showers are only made really for men. And she explained how there weren't curtains on the shower stalls. And she explained she suffers from PTSD. So she's traumatized, and the services that are provided, even though they're minimal, those services are provided in a way that further traumatizes these women, because it seems like everything's geared towards primarily men, homeless men. So I was just struck, just having a conversation, just going through her issues. She was holding back tears most of the conversation, because just speaking about what she was going through was traumatizing to her. So I really felt her pain. She was alone, and so we spent about 2 hours going through a list of issues for her. Things from as simple as a parking ticket, other things to try to get government aid, but everything just piles up, and she's like, I don't even know what to do. So even like the most simplest issue, she's so overwhelmed by everything that she has to deal with that she can't even deal with any of it. So it's just a lot, the trauma that is really experienced, and the pain you see in her face and I'm sure everybody out there has that pain that they're holding in. And you see her, she big smile, but as soon as she starts talking about it, that smile, you can see the tears well up in her face. So that really kind of touched me a lot. So.
And I want to add something to this. Women who have been in abusive and domestic violence relationship, they don't have the power to fight back. They just give up on their life. It takes a lot of work to be the person you once you've been in your life, and you actually trusted the person you had in your life, and you were sharing everything, and you never imagined you in this situation. You are feeling so down and you don't care about anything, and it takes a lot of support. That's why we need to have in place support where they can go and talk to somebody, help them so they can be the same person they were before this happened to them. It takes a lot of strength, and they don't have any self-esteem at all because it's taken from them. And in this society right now where we live, we need self-esteem so we can function, for us to find a job and to be the fulfilling person, so we can build life for ourselves alone again.
Yeah, we have to restore dignity.
Jeremy?
There's no dignity left in humanity. Like, we can't treat each other like this.
There is no love in the society. That's the biggest problem. We need to open our hearts and our souls and show compassion, because nobody is immune. Everybody can end up on the street. That's it. We need to start loving and supporting each other. This is the most important thing.
And when I was in there, a lot of people were saying, "You're not from Venice," and I'm like, it doesn't matter what district you're from. It's the fact that we have to come together now. And what #SheDoes is doing is it's duplicatable, clear across the board. When you have communities coming together and raising money for them and bringing them in your own apartment, that's great. Love thy neighbor, totally. But that's not our job. That's the city council's job. That's the mayor's job in every district. So, people are saying, you're from Santa Monica, and I'm like, it doesn't matter, because we have to all support each other. This is duplicatable, period. And so it's important that these women have shelter and protection. It's a different story for them. And so thank you, Mel, so much, and #SheDoes, and hopefully we could go out to Santa Monica one day.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Anyone
else?
Think that, yes, I also think that we have to put a different face on how we look at things. It's like when we say homeless, it's like homeless and me. It's like a separation. Not homeless, my neighbor without walls. Everything just sounds nicer. It sounds more like you're more connected, that you're not separate. We're all one, and these are our neighbors. These are our mothers, our daughters, our grandmothers, our fathers, our retired teachers, people who fought for our country. These are us. So I just think that if we, somehow can put another face on it to make it a more gentle way, a more connected way, instead of to be separated. That's all.
Carlos.
Yes. Well, I was inside. I'm sorry, but I just came out, and what we're seeing right now is a lot of people starting to ask a lot of questions. People, want to see what the government is doing for them. But I think the most important is people are starting to organize themselves and coming together, and they realize that we cannot leave it just up to the government to do everything for us. Yeah. But we need to. This is very important for us to continue to do the outreach that we're doing, to use social media the way we do it. I think it's being very effective. We are seeing now engagement even from corporations, that now they're starting to say, what can we do? We cannot be afraid to tackle at this in whatever way that we can. And most important is begin to hold people accountable, our leaders accountable. And we met with Commander Choi from the LAPD last week, and he gave us a lot of information, some information that I didn't know about through my years of doing this, as to how they are planning to handle some of the areas that are very difficult. This is a very hard issue and complex, because it has many little pieces, but each one of them is very important. And I think that it takes special people like each one of us to be able to tackle at those areas, and especially being able to gain the trust of the public and to say, wow, this is good, I want to participate. That's why we're doing the town hall meetings, to be able to connect community to the issues and really educate the public. Because most of the time, when I think that one of the biggest mistakes that the city did is just to announce we're going to start having shelters. Immediately, people went into panic. Wow, I don't want all the people with drug addiction, living next to me, or the people with mental illness. You know what I mean? So I think that was a mistake. I think that what should have happened was the city leaders should have engaged the community leaders, brought them together, explained to them what it was going to look like. Once that happened, people would let down their guards and say, okay, I like that. There's specialized shelters, But now we got to work a little bit harder. And that's part of us creating those town hall meetings so that we can educate the public and in return be able to get their trust and participation, so that we can all start working really hard and start seeing the difference.
When's the town hall, Carlos?
We have our first town hall scheduled for June the 30th, and that's going to be in Hollywood. And then we're going to move them around throughout the city, throughout the county if necessary.
June 30th, what time?
That's a Saturday, June 30th from 2 to 5. And it's going to be at the Hollywood, it's the First Baptist Church of Hollywood. We plan to try to hold the meetings in churches because people tend to be more relaxed and not be too aggressive, and be able to have a little more, a better atmosphere where people tend to have a little more respect in churches or synagogues. But I'm very excited because the minute that we announced it, there's a lot of people that taken interest in this. And I cannot help but notice that when we announced it, we got some of the city council that reached out. They wanted to know a little bit about what our goals were. People are afraid right now. I think that some of the leaders are afraid because this has really fallen in their laps, under their watch, if you will, especially with so much construction going on, and all these developments are what's creating a lot of homelessness, and we need to address that. This is why we need to be able to combine these two issues together. We cannot just speak on homelessness. We got to see what is creating homelessness, and many of these areas, really the main reason that we are seeing homeless, a lot of people becoming homeless is because they cannot afford the rent, and they are one paycheck away from calamity, and we need to be able to start creating safety nets for the people, so that if they lose their job or if they get ill, they don't have to end up homeless. I found out PATH, for example, they have a pilot program they're going to be starting, that if you're at risk of becoming homeless, they're going to be able to assist you with funding so that they can help you with the rent, so you don't have to be added to the number of homeless people out there. I think those are excellent programs, but we need to really look and probably strengthen those programs. See what works and what doesn't work. There's a lot of stuff. People got good ideas out there. We just got to start talking about it and start putting those ideas to work, especially if they are being effective.
So thank you all of you guys for being here. I know, people think it's easy, but many of the... Yes, Stephen.
A resident.
What's your name, ma'am?
Tom Valentine. I've lived in Venice 62 years. In fact, my family, the Tabors and Reese, are the first black family in Venice. Wow. They came when Abbott Kinney was doing the canals thing. And I'm all for bridge housing just because there are actually some people that have lived here in Venice, and on account of all these big mega mansions going up, and they're homeless. They can't afford the rent. And some people have went to school here, and that's all they know is Venice. And we need to do something. I'm all for a bridge for housing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey guys, so again, for all of you guys being here, really appreciate it. And the reason I want to say I appreciate it again is because, guys, getting a bit closer. The reason I say this is because, unfortunately right now, for most people, the cool thing to do is serve the homeless. And, you know, I'll tell you right now, I mean, I did that for 7 years. But the problem with homelessness is food is never going to solve homelessness. There's a lot of people who care, who come out and who want to serve. But what we need now is for them to step forward and say, we need real solutions. We need housing, but until housing comes along, we can't leave women, children on our streets. We need solutions now, and that's why this whole bridge housing is vital. We want to make sure we get them inside without them being exposed. Not just even crime. People face a lot in the elements. I mean, Venice gets really cold. Let's face it. And when you get older people on the streets, you're talking about 60, 70, 80-year-old people. They don't wake up the next day. So thank you for being here. For all of you who are watching who couldn't be here, try to make it to all of our other events. We have to step it up. We have to step it up because, like I posted yesterday, the assholes are not afraid of coming out and talking shit. They're not. So we need you who care to step up more and be loud. So come out. And also, we're winning on social media, but we need to step it up. So I know you guys, when you see a post, you comment on it, tag one more person. Tag one more person, because if it means we're gonna double what we're doing right now, let's do it. You see what we're up against. We can beat this. I'm telling you we can beat this because everybody already knows who we are. So tag another person, come out more to our events. We got this. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you, man.